The Kennedy Center adopted bylaws earlier this year that limited voting to presidentially appointed trustees, a move that preceded a unanimous decision this month by board members installed by President Donald Trump to add his name to the center. The current bylaws, obtained by the Washington Post, were revised in May to specify that board members designated by Congress, known as ex officio members, could not vote or count toward a quorum. Legal experts say the move may conflict with the institution's charter. Trump took over the Kennedy Center in February, purging its board of members he had not appointed. The months that followed saw struggling ticket sales and programming changes that began to align the arts complex with the Trump administration's broader cultural aims, culminating with the annual Kennedy Center honors hosted by the president. Days later, on December 18, the board voted to add the president's name to the institution, and within 24 hours it was on the website and the building itself, the Donald J. Trump and the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. Several artists have announced cancellations at the center as the unprecedented move drew public scrutiny and backlash. Democratic lawmakers and legal experts said it was illegal for the board to alter the name of the living memorial to Kennedy that Congress established. Democrats also claimed that one ex officio member, Representative Joyce Beatty, D. Ohio, was muted when she attempted to speak out during the December 18 vote. Roma Daravi, the center's vice president of public relations, told the Post that ex officio members have never voted. The bylaws were revised to reflect this long-standing precedent and everyone received the technical changes both before the meeting and after revisions, Daravi wrote in an email to the Post. Some members, including ex officio, attended in person, others by phone, and no concerns were voiced, no one objected, and the bylaws passed unanimously. The Kennedy Center lists 34 presidentially appointed board members, including Trump himself as chair, and 23 ex officio seats. The center's president, Richard Grenell, is also an officer of the board. The federal law that established the Kennedy Center designates specific government and federal positions, including the Librarian of Congress, the Mayor of Washington, D.C., the Secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, and the majority and minority leaders of the Senate, to serve as ex officio members. The law identifies them as part of the Board of Trustees, which it directs to maintain and administer the facility as a living memorial. But it does not distinguish between voting and non-voting members, which has been a point of ambiguity in the days following the vote to rename the Kennedy Center. The center's original bylaws didn't distinguish voting powers, either. But its most recent tax filings list 59 inches voting members, of its governing body, a total that includes both general and ex officio members. A former Kennedy Center staffer with knowledge of board proceedings, who spoke on the condition of anonymity out of fear of retribution, told the Post that ex officio members were always included in debate and discussion during their tenure, but the person did not recall a time when those members' votes were counted. Theoretically they could vote, but our practice was not to have them vote or count toward quorum, the person said, noting they were not aware of the new leadership's practices at the center. For this report, the Post reached out to all ex officio members with questions about their voting authority and any known changes to it. Some told the Post or other outlets that they understood their current role to be non-voting, though none addressed whether they were aware of any prior changes to that status. Like a lot of things, this seems to be in dispute, said one person with knowledge of board proceedings, who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak on the matter. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, R. South Dakota, told a reporter Dec. 18. I don't have a vote. I don't know enough about it. Sen. Sheldon Whitehouse, D. Rhode Island, told the Post that he became an ex officio member this year after he became the lead Democrat on the Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works, another ex officio seat designated by Congress, but was not invited to board meetings until his committee began investigating the Kennedy Center last month. Whitehouse said the statute makes no distinction between ex officio and presidentially appointed trustees when it comes to members' rights and responsibilities on the board, including voting, and he accused the Trump-appointed board of attempting to illegally change the bylaws to silence dissent. A spokesperson for the Smithsonian Institution said that Secretary Lonnie G. Bunch III does not vote or attend the meetings. It was unclear whether he had since assuming his role in 2019, but it is not uncommon for high officials serving on influential Washington boards to attend by proxy or not at all. Copies of the Kennedy Center's May and September board meeting minutes, obtained by the Post, showed that many ex officio members were absent or sent a staffer in their place. Beatty, who sued the Kennedy Center's Board of Trustees December 22 to stop it from adding Trump's name to the institution, declined to comment for this story. but her lawsuit argues the center's statute makes her a full voting member. Sen. Chris Van Hollen, D. Maryland, who is listed as an ex officio member on the Kennedy Center's website, said he is no longer part of the board. "I was on the Kennedy Center board in the last Congress," he told the Post. "So their website is not caught up because I was told when Democrats lost control of the Senate and the Republicans became the majority that I fell off." The charter calls for 3 additional Senate members appointed by the President of the Senate and 3 House members appointed by the Speaker to serve in ex officio seats. Many in high-ranking roles, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Senate Minority Leader Charles E. Schumer, D. New York, did not respond to requests for comment. The offices of D.C. Mayor Muriel E. Bowser, D. and the acting Librarian of Congress, Robert Newland, declined to comment. Other changes from the May revision state that the General Trustees serve at the pleasure of the President. Previously, that language appeared in the bylaws in the federal statute only in reference to the Advisory Committee on the Arts, a separate body that makes recommendations to the board. They also added language about the ability of officers to make certain appointments, including stating that the chair may appoint the center's president to act as chief executive. The vote by the Kennedy Center's board to add Trump's name to the institution marked the most overt effort to date by the president and his allies to remold the storied Performing Arts Center in his image. In the days since his name was added to the building, several lawmakers have vowed to fight the change. During a rally outside the Kennedy Center on Deck 20, Van Hollen said he and his colleagues would work to reverse the move when Congress returns to session in January. "The day we get back, we can put an amendment on the Interior Appropriations Bill to reverse this outrage," he told the crowd. Beatty's lawsuit, filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, claimed that the vote exceeded its statutory authority and requested that a judge declare it to be void. Because Congress named the center by statute, changing the Kennedy Center's name requires an act of Congress, the lawsuit says, adding that Congress intended the center to be a living memorial to President Kennedy and a crown jewel of the arts for all Americans, irrespective of party.